All right, so welcome to today's episode of Teaching Others What We Need to Learn. I'm your host, Scott Engler, published author of The Job Interview and Legends of the Recruiting and Career World, and a professional branding specialist on LinkedIn for career and business development. So what I want to talk to you today about is what I like to call digital overload. So I heard this person share, he's like one of those YouTube personalities, and I'm not sure if this is exactly accurate because I did try to research it and see, just to verify it, but it gave a good enough comparison of what we're experiencing that it could be true, and it doesn't really matter. So he said that he was reading some article saying that we experience more information that is being thrown at us in 1 week than our great grandparents did in their entire lifetime. So again, is that 100% accurate? I have no idea, but I think it really gives a good enough picture for the fact that it could damn well be true. And if you are listening to this and you could relate to just the feeling of overwhelm. I mean, I know for me, it's getting 60 different newsletters from all these people and having to unsubscribe. Just the amount of freaking content on Facebook, LinkedIn, whatever form, whatever platform you're at. The fact that everything is digital now and that you're staring at this screen all the time. So if you work, maybe you experience this as well, even if you don't work from a computer for the majority of your career or whatever you're doing. I just find it gets really overwhelming, like to the point where I won't even want to read an article on the computer. It's just like I'm tired of seeing words on a computer or like one of these monitors. And so if you could relate to this feeling, this is what this podcast is really about. So how do we adjust to this, right? So if we know that we are experiencing a period of time that is unlike no other, which is in some ways really exciting and amazing, and that we get to be a part of it, right? And in other ways it's challenging because we're also experiencing and adjusting to things that are occurring so rapidly. Everything's happening so fast, right? If you really stop and look back at just where we were, just thinking it wasn't even 15 years ago when the iPod was coming out, right? Facebook, it was 13 years ago when that came out. So that's, in the scheme of things, a very short amount of time. Think about how much has changed since then and where things are continuing to grow so fast. And the challenge is for most of us, doing stuff online, having, whether you have an online presence for your business, whether you need to be online for some aspect of what you do for work, we're all experiencing it to some level or another. So how do we adjust to it, right? Well, this is really tricky because we don't have any, I haven't at least heard of much long-term data showing, what we could do or what not. So let's think of some commonsensical things. Let's just go common sense, right? So if you're staring at a damn computer screen all day and you're reading tons and tons of information, don't do it as much, right? So what does that look like, practically speaking? Well, I know for a fact that 90% of us could benefit from spending less time on one of our 40 minutes on Facebook, something like that. I'll have to double check, but it was a lot. It was definitely over 30 minutes a day that the average person spends on Facebook, whether or not it was the weekend, which is a lot of time when you think about how many hours are in a day. If you're spending close to 1/12 of your day, or let's say you sleep for 8 hours a day. Yeah, let's say in a 12-hour day, if you're spending close to 1/12 of your day on Facebook, that's a lot of time. So limit the amount of time you're freaking spending on these social media sites, right? How do we limit that? For me, I remember getting off of Facebook for a while when I wrote my first book, and it was the gosh darn best decision I ever made. And you know what else I learned? I don't have to be on Facebook. I don't have to be on Facebook. The world still goes around. And in fact, I found, when I take some time away from the computer and social media, I feel a lot better. I feel a lot less anxious. So experience what that looks like for you, right? We're getting thrown, even when you're just looking at a screen, how many ads are being thrown your way, how many videos are being thrown your way. There's so much stuff just jumping out of us that my joke is that, soon enough there's going to literally be like this hologram that comes out of your screen and like shouts at you, Scott, look at this, right? Because it's like an addiction. It has to keep getting bigger. If you haven't noticed what's going on, take a look at the advertising industry, take a look at how things pop up on your screen, they flash, they do this, a video pops up and starts rolling with music. So it's just something you need to be aware of. So how could we, again, adjust to this? Because for many of us, it is a necessary part of life. And how could we work with it, right? So that would be my first recommendation. Look at what sites you're on that you could limit, right? Facebook, Instagram, Snapchat, LinkedIn, whatever it is. And I guarantee you, I know there's some good apps, and I'm honestly not the best person to talk to about this at all, but there's some apps that will like track, how much time you're spending on sites, and they'll, I know I have one, it's called like self-control. I just couldn't really figure out how to use it, to be honest. But I know there's people that really swear by how, helpful some of these apps are, ironically using technology to keep ourselves away from being addicted to technology. But the point being is, guarantee you that 99% of us underestimate the amount of time that we spend on some of these sites, and we would be shocked to see just how much time we do. So that would be my first recommendation. Take a look at what you're doing, awareness, right? Maybe write down what sites you're on and what sites you don't need to be on. Now, is it bad? And I want to say this again. Is it bad to be on Facebook? No. But with anything, it's like, know yourself, right? Know what you're feeling right now. If you could relate to this message, then perhaps this is something that you need to look at for yourself. And where could you, throw in something doing outdoors that could really get you out of the house more. Maybe it's having some better limits. I know, something that has helped me is not checking my email incessantly, right? And so many of us do that. We're constantly responding back and forth with these emails and messages and these notifications that are lighting up, and just all the things. I noticed just a week of not messaging people on LinkedIn, I felt so much, I'm not joking because I get messaged on that platform particularly all the time. I felt so much better. I was so much more productive in my business simply because I said, you know what? I don't really care what this person's messaging me about. If it's that important, they could email me. My email address is on my site. They could find a way to get in touch with me, right? If it's not an emergency, if it's that important, it's someone that's a client of mine or something, they could call me. They have other ways to contact me. And so it really was a good experience. Or even with emailing, some people, I learned this from Jarek Robbins, is just checking your email at 9 and 5 or 2 times at work for you. And I really liked because he would put it in his autoresponder. So he taught people, how to get in touch with them, right? So people would know, sure, maybe people get annoyed that he's only checking his email twice a day or whatever at first because they're so used to getting that immediate gratification from everybody else. But they'll learn, if you just know that person's going to be checking emails at those times. And so to expect that the response time might be longer, and that's okay, and just really, I've put up autoresponders for things like that and, have people actually thank me doing that because it set a good example for them. So regardless of, this is all about what you're doing for you, right? Less focused on what other people think. And I think that's part of the thing is like we have this false sense of connection by being connected online all the time, but really we're just dying for connection because all this content overload, it's just like burning out our receptors in our brain is what I find. And it's like we're not really the type of communication we're using is not. I've been saying this for years since texting came out. Anyone that knows me will know I've been adamant about it. I mean, obviously we have to adjust, but the form of communication that we're using to communicate and all this digital overload is not the best form of communication. Research shows between like 88, I've seen like anything between 88 and 92% of our communication is nonverbal, right? So it's seeing the person, feeling the energy behind them, what they're not saying, what's between the lines, and these things these are all part of who we are as human beings. Animals are exactly the same way, right? Some of them it's like almost completely nonverbal for 99% of the time. So we're losing out. My point is that we're losing out all the time on a huge component of the effectiveness of communication. So to bring it back, what could we do to really connect more, right? What could we do to connect in person? That's what I'm finding recently. Connect with people in person more and leave your goddamn phone in the car. I just went on a vacation, I'm not joking, for like a week, and I left my phone. I turned it off. And it was awesome. I'm not, you don't have to do this like something, seemingly extreme like this. For me, it wasn't that extreme, but other people, when I told them that, they're like, oh my gosh, that's crazy. Like seriously, you could see the look in their eyes. They're like, you didn't bring your cell phone with you on vacation to another state? So here's the thing. By doing that, I saw just how much freaking stupid time I waste on my phone, checking email, checking things, looking at photos, looking at BS that I don't need to look at. I'm just wasting so much time. In fact, I felt like I had so much more time available to me because I wasn't looking at my phone. And I was able to meet so many people on my trip because I wasn't looking at my damn phone. And it's like, I was able to look around me and see, hey, I'm in Hawaii and it's freaking amazing. I don't have to like look at my phone and post about how cool Hawaii is. I'm going to look at Hawaii and talk to the people around me about Hawaii. I don't have to freaking talk to my friend, on Facebook about Hawaii. There's a concept, right? So it's this stuff that, is really, we're all adjusting to, right? And I just think that a lot of us don't take the time to really see what's going on. And I'm here to share with you what really is going on for me and for other people I talk to all the time. So these are a few things that I want to share today that can hopefully be helpful to you. And I hope that you take it into consideration. Try a few of these things out. Feel free to let me know if, what happened for you. Scott Engler, Engler. You can find me on LinkedIn. Shoot me an email. I know we're talking about technology. That's kind of funny. But yeah, shoot me an email. Let me know your experience. And again, let's really look at this together so we could adjust to it. I am very, very confident that a lot of us are being much more affected by this in a negative way than we think we are. So that's what I got today, and thank you for listening.